Boom. What's going on YouTube? Captain Stu Nothing blog, keeping it real. So, YouTube is a platform that allows everyone to put their useless and unimportant opinion up on the internet, and anyone to join the fray. Fuck it. Guys can get a bajillion subscribers, reading top 10s. I can yell into the void, gain my catharsis, and the 2 or 3 people who watch my channel can watch and get a laugh. Background noise today, I'm going to put up some old home movies. I think I'm going to do Alien 5, which is my first major production. You know, large cast, a lot of action, excellent cosmetics and costume design, if I can say so myself. It's a big deal. The reason I bring up Alien, because what I want to talk about today is the influence of fictional characters on people. I was a long time ago. You know, I was picked on a lot when I was a kid, and you know, I had trouble fitting in with people, and you know, play the sad song. I mean, you know, part of growing up. Everybody's fucked up when they grow up. It's part of doing it. But I a little bit of a false start, and I got squared away pretty good to the point where I think I was graduating college or something, and I was sitting down with my dad, and he looked at me. He's like, you know, I don't know what I did, son. Like, I don't know. At one point, what I did to just have you turn out as such a nice young man. And again, like, I'm not trying to toot my own horn or anything, you know, just a father gushing over his kid. They're allowed every now and then, I think. And I was like, wow, Dad, like, I really appreciate that. And I was like, well, you know, I had good parents, and you guys really sorted me out, and you were tough when you needed to be, and you were soft when you could afford to be. You know, like, I appreciate that. And he's just like, no, it wasn't me. No, it was you're pulling off shit I never taught you. And I was all like. Again, I disagree. I still think a lot of that is to my parents, you know. Thanks, Mom and Dad, I love you. But I'm thinking, if it wasn't them though, who was it? And I got thinking, had to be the media I consumed as a youth. And I consumed a lot of media. I didn't have a lot. I didn't have cable as a child. Well, I mean, I had it when I was very young, but as I was getting old enough to appreciate it, my parents, again, doing the parenting thing, cut it so I wouldn't spend all goddamn day in front of the TV. Shows them. I made it my life's mission once I became old enough to afford my own stuff. Watched a lot of Simpsons on community television channels. So, right off the bat, so Simpsons are one. And a lot of people think like, oh, the Simpsons are terrible garbage humor. But no, I mean, honesty and hardworkingness, and to not bully people. You know, to find humor in all things. Like, there's a lot of really good morals to be learned from The Simpsons. And then getting into more stuff from there. You know, I watched the usual affair for a late 80s born child, so Power Rangers to a very small degree, except for the movie. I watched the shit out of the movie. Turtles, the Ghostbusters were big ones. Huge ones on me. You know, and what do you learn from the Turtles? You know, value of hard work, you know, respect authority and leadership, learn from your elders, like, you know, only use violence when you have to. Tons of great morals from the Turtles and from the Power Rangers, like, especially like everyone's like, oh, they're violent shows. Those shows always preach like force is a last option. There's always another way, there's always a smarter way, there's always something you can think or talk your way out of before you have to start throwing, kicking punches, right? Huge lesson. And also from Leonardo, you learn like you have to work at what you want. You know, like, life's not easy. You want to be the leader. Sometimes you got to put in a little extra time. And then another big, like, huge influence on me as a kid was Ripley from the Alien franchise. And this is one I didn't think about till I was old enough to kind of appreciate where Ripley was coming from. But just the sanctity of human life, staying calm in a stressful situation, you know, being frazzled but not losing your composure, you know. That bit in the end of the second film when they lose Newt and they have to go back and get her, and, you know, Hicks is like, well, you can't go alone, blah, 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 but, like, you know, Ripley took time to learn her thing, you know, and was scared the whole time, but, you know, she didn't, like, kick the door in like a badass, and she was badass, don't get me wrong, but, like, you know, she trusted in in the technology with her. She kept a calm head, and she pushed through a bad situation, even though she wanted nothing to do with it. You know, and like I did a lot. You know, I spent a lot of summers away from home, going to like I was a cadet. Full disclosure, I was a cadet when I was a kid. I spent a lot of summers away at cadet camps, and I hated a lot of them just because I had trouble making friends. And I was a weirdo, and but you know, just like Ripley, it's like, wow, I don't want to do this horrible thing that I have to do right now. And it's like, well, if you want to fit in, you're gonna do it. You know, so bite your tongue, just like Ripley, and you push through. And I did. And then I got into anime. And anime this is a big one. So obviously, as I've gotten older, my relationship to anime has changed. And that I find anime these days really friggin' creepy. There's a lot of creepy shit in anime. It's hard to watch. It's all about like high school romances. But again, going back to high school, that was kind of my jam. But there was a lot I learned from the characters of all my favorite anime. You know, Amuro Ray from Gundam, same thing. Like, it's a task that he doesn't want to do, but you gotta bite your tongue and try to be the best at it, even though it's not what you want. Goku, train. If you want to be the best, you have to train. Nothing's gonna come to you on a silver platter. You have to work. Ranma and Ryoga from Ranma 1/2, same thing. Loved Ryoga, you know what I mean? Like, I loved that character. Like, life was just constantly out to get him. Like, the guy could never win. And don't get me wrong, looking back on the material now, Ryoga's a freaking creeper. You know what I mean? The whole like, oh, I'm gonna sleep with the Kane when I'm in pig form. It's not creepy. Like, super fucking creepy, bro. But again, looking past his flaw, I liked how Ryoga was the definition of perseverance. Everything that bad happened to him, nothing went his way, he could never find where he was going, but, you know, and he hated Ranma with like every fiber of his being, but he worked at it, you know? He always trained hard, and he always knew what he wanted, and he always went after what he wanted, even though everybody said he shouldn't. And, he flipped off the haters and just kept pushing, and he got where he wanted to be. You know what I mean? Well, he didn't, but his life was better for the struggle, you know? Like, he didn't get what he wanted in the end, but, you know, he got a friend in Ranma, and he bettered himself as a martial artist, you know? And just like the love of training, and there's nothing embarrassing in sitting 6 hours in front of in front of the gym bench or whatever your thing is. There's no shame in overtraining. I see so many people these days that are like, oh, you're working at that again? Jeez, why don't you take a Netflix break for 7 hours? Like, I hate that. I don't know why we penalize the people who are obsessed. I don't know why we go after people that want to do it all the time and that really want something and that really strive for something. Like, I've been called a freaking weirdo because I can dive into a project and just work at it for 6 or 7 hours without stopping. Oh, so many damn times, you know. And yeah, okay, it is a bit weird, but I love what I'm doing, and I love doing it, and like I hate that we penalize people with passion. And something I loved about anime characters is like every single one of them, especially in like basic martial arts shows, would always overtrain, would always train too hard, would always go off the deep end like that. And I love that about those characters. It's great. And then obviously as I've gotten older too, Ghostbusters. Big fan of the Ghostbusters. Again, Movie Bob already kind of touched on this in his review, and I did it as well when I did a Why Is Everyone Mad at the Trailer review. But yeah. You have the tools, you have the talent, put in the time, you're gonna make it. I love that, and I love that about Ghostbusters. And I think I also might be why I didn't mind cadets so much. Like, I like the uniform, and like I love the Ghostbusters jumpsuits, and I love being part of a team. And even if you're not perfectly friends, as long as you do your job and you carry your weight in the team, you're gonna succeed. And that's something I learned from Ghostbusters. And that sarcasm is a remedy to all things. If you can approach anything up to and including the end of the world with sarcasm, you're probably gonna make it. So those are just a couple examples. Spider-Man was in there too. Like, I was a big Spider-Man fan. Captain Kirk and the Enterprise. Especially later in life, like, I've learned so much from Star Trek. Just it's okay to be annoyed with people. It's okay to not understand people, as long as you try to keep an open mind. as long as you accepted cultural differences to within a reason. Like, obviously, it's part of our culture to murder people. No, that's too far. But if you want to, you want to live your society around money, which I don't, but I can see why you do. And if we can just be mature about this and we can still work together. That spirit, that Federation spirit, love it so much. That's why Star Trek is obviously everyone. There's been 1,000 blogs on this, but that's why Star Trek is so important and so awesome. And like, I didn't watch TNG until much later in my life, which I will always regret. But when I did get into it, I actually had to admit Picard is a better captain. I love Kirk. I love punching aliens and sleeping with their girlfriends. Don't get me wrong, but Picard, man, like just his open-mindedness, his commitment to the way to the world he believes in and he wants to be a part of, and his open-mindedness and acceptedness. I love that about that character. Like I love that there's times when his right thing is not the Federation's right thing, and you see the conflict in him, and he always knows where the line is between getting insubordinate or following his heart. And I loved that from those characters. And like obviously, in the PC world, I keep finding myself coming back to episodes of Star Trek when I get mad at other people or not understanding where other people are coming from. Star Trek's great for that. I love Star Trek. I'll always love Star Trek. So yeah, again, just kind of like throwing it out there, playing around with the blog today. I might make a more comprehensive list. So for the 2 or 3 people that watch my show, who are your favorite influential fictional characters? Like, who are some of the people that when the chips were down and you needed hope that you turned to? Who are the people that like when you knew what the right thing to do was, but it wasn't an easy thing to do, and you had to think, oh well, Captain Kirk wouldn't have backed down, or Leonardo wouldn't have backed down, like, I'm gonna be like Leo and I'm gonna make it, did anyone else have those kind of moments? Is anyone else as media obsessed as I was as a child? And if so, start a comment in the description. If you want to see more of these videos, I can maybe sit down and put a bit more thought into it, and we can see what else we can come up with. So maybe even specific characters. Maybe I'll start doing individual character studies. Let me know. Otherwise, thanks for listening to me rant. And I firmly believe, I think part of why our generation is the way it is the heroes we had as children. Even if you didn't have a great role model growing up, you always had a great role model in Leonardo. As long as you could get to the TV set. But yeah, thanks for coming out.